Welcome and hello, my name is Dr. Giovanna Grijalva. I am the Senior Curriculum Development Director. The main purpose for the learning series is to deliver a common language and a message to all TUSD participants. Each participant will have the same opportunity to think and work critically between these elements of PLCs. So let's begin.
Hello and welcome to Professional Learning Community PD session number 2. Today, our focus will be on norms and collective commitments. After this session, you will be asked to develop, review, and possibly revise norms with your collaborative teacher team. Please be sure to have the following 3 handouts for today's session. 1. How to lead your team with the development of team norms. 2. Norms development template. And 3. Our team norms. Remember, if you have any questions throughout this session, to jot them down and place them on the parking lot provided by your facilitator. As with all Tucson Unified School District learning, we will take a minute to review our professional development norms. These norms are in place for each participant to get the most out of this learning. It is a personal commitment we make to support a growth mindset. Today's learning will require us to thoughtfully consider each voice and perspective. We encourage you to listen intently to each other and allow all voices to be heard. By reviewing, self-reflecting, and acting on these norms, we set ourselves up for a positive learning experience. By the end of today's learning, we will have addressed the following guiding questions. Number 1. What are collective commitments? Number 2, what are norms? Number 3, how does a collaborative teacher team develop effective norms? Number 4, why are norms important when working in a team? And number 5, what is collective inquiry and why is it essential to ensure continuous growth with collaborative teacher teams? Keep these guiding questions in your mind. We will revisit and reflect on them again at the end of today's learning. To begin today's learning, we would like you to think back on session number 1. What changes have you made or are thinking about making within your collaborative teacher team meeting time because of the information you were given during our first PLC learning session? Meet with 2 other participants that are not part of your collaborative teacher team. Share your ideas and insights. Facilitators, please pause the presentation for 8 minutes. 1 minute for silent think time. 4 minutes for participants to find a partner to share their ideas and insights, and 3 minutes to share any insights with the whole group. Before moving to creating norms with our collaborative teacher teams, let's take a few minutes to review how collective commitments guide our school as a PLC.
Collective commitments answer the question, how must we behave to create the school that will achieve our purpose? In answering this question, educators shift from offering philosophical musings on mission or the shared hopes for the school of the future to making commitments to act in certain ways starting today. Clarity on this topic guides the individual work of each member of the team and outlines how each person can contribute to the improvement of the school's success.
Collective commitments are not norms. They are the beliefs and/or values that we hold about student learning. These beliefs and/or values drive us to action. We do things differently because of what we believe or value. This is where the entire school or PLC can develop a to-do versus taboo list of behaviors and actions. For instance, if one of our collective commitments is to treat all students with dignity and respect, a to-do behavior would be Stand by your classroom door during passing time and greet each and every student as they enter your classroom. A taboo behavior might be no yelling at students. Instead, we would say, speak to the individual student privately and respectfully to redirect behavior. To-do behaviors are the actions we want to start or continue doing based on our collective commitments. And taboo behaviors are the actions we want stopped on our campus because of our collective commitments. In a nutshell, collective commitments are when we take our values and beliefs and turn them into actions. Collective commitments are developed by your school PLC. You each play an important role in the development of these commitments. It can be a grueling process, but the payoff is worth it. The remaining focus of today's learning will be on how to create norms for our collaborative teacher teams. Before we move in that direction, and before we ask ourselves why norms, let's first think about what they are. Please look at and think about the question posed on this slide. Turn to your table group, share your thoughts, and collectively come up with a definition for norms. Be prepared to share your definition with the whole group. Facilitators, pause the presentation for 5 minutes in order to have small and whole group discussions. Thank you for sharing your definitions. Now turn to your table group and share your thoughts about why we have norms. Facilitators, pause the presentation for 3 minutes in order to have small group discussion. Thank you for sharing your ideas and insights to what norms are and why we have them. Researchers in the PLC field, Richard DeFore, Rebecca DeFore, Robert Aker, Thomas Maney, and Mike Matos, along with others, have created the following definition of norms.
Norms are the ground rules or guiding values collaboratively developed by a group for the purpose of defining high expectations for members of the group as well as the group collectively. Shared norms that are effectively written provide clarity for each and every member of the collaborative teacher team on what they have collectively committed to in order to achieve their shared goals.
How does this definition align with what you and your colleagues came up with? To ensure a highly effective collaborative teacher team, norms are a must. You may be asking yourself, how are the norms developed? In order to gain knowledge in the process of developing norms, please take a moment to quietly read the following 7 steps. Your team may already have norms, or you may need to develop them from scratch. Wherever you are in the development process, we would like to give your collaborative teacher team time with the process. You have been given 3 documents to help guide you and your team. In a moment, we will ask facilitators to pause the presentation for a total of 8 minutes in order for participants to read and collaborate on their team norms. The first 3 minutes will be for quiet time to read the handouts and mark the margins by jotting down questions or any other annotations that will help you and your team develop norms. The next 5 minutes will be to share your thoughts and annotations with your team. If time allows, begin the process of developing or revising your team norms. Facilitators, please pause the presentation now. Remember to stick to the process like glue, and you will have a successful experience and develop strong norms for your team to abide by during collaborative teacher-team meeting time. I believe Goleman and DeFore said it best.
When individuals work through a process to create explicitly stated norms and then commit to honor these norms, they increase the likelihood they will begin to function as a collaborative team rather than a loose collection of people working together.
In thinking about the quote by Goleman and DeFore, independently read and think about this question.
How would you explain the difference of working on a team with norms versus working on a team that had not developed norms?
Turn to your team and have a 3-minute table discussion. Facilitators, pause the presentation for 3 minutes to allow small group discussion. Thank you for sharing with your table groups. Remember, norms help the group function efficiently and effectively. By referring to them as our norms, team members stay focused and on task. Here are a few tips to ensure your team norms are successful. Ask a team member to read the norms at the beginning of each meeting. Post the norms during each meeting. Review the norms monthly or as needed. Ask members if the norms are effective or if they need revision. Don't use the norms as a rule book. They are guides. If a new member joins the team, review the norms and offer an opportunity for their input. Collaborative teacher teams who function effectively are always focusing on their meaningful work. Again, the 4 critical questions guide this work. If the meeting time is spent talking about and examining these 4 critical questions, collaborative teacher teams will find they are effectively ensuring teacher and student success. These questions need to recur over and over again as the academic year progresses. Teachers and collaborative teacher teams work together in constant, deep, collective inquiry into the critical questions of the teaching and learning process. What is collective inquiry? Collective inquiry is a process used to increase teacher collaboration and communication around the topics of teaching and learning. Let me give you an example of what collective inquiry might look like in a collaborative teacher team. Let's say we are a group of math teachers and the scores are flat in the area of number sense. We design a goal and a plan for what we are going to try in order to increase student understanding of this concept and increase formative assessment scores. We discuss, plan, design the instruction, and then execute the plan. We come back to our team and share our results. We continue to do this with each learning standard until we have evidence to show increased student achievement and best teaching practices. The focus of collective inquiry is both a search for best practice for helping all students learn at high levels and an honest assessment of the current reality regarding teaching practices and student learning. The dialogue generated from the critical questions is intended to result in the academic focus, collective commitments, and productive professional relationships that enhance learning for teachers and students alike.
Members of a professional learning community recognize they cannot accomplish their fundamental purpose of high levels of learning for all levels of students unless they work together collaboratively. The collaborative team is the fundamental building block of a PLC.
DeFore and his colleagues have summed up and validated the importance of working in a collaborative teacher team within the frame of a PLC. Think back to Session 1 when you made the commitment to your school-wide PLC and to your collaborative teacher team. Now ask yourself, what is your commitment versus compliance to your own professional learning and to your students' achievement? To bring our professional development to a close, think about today's learning. What will be your contribution to developing your collaborative teacher team norms? Take 1 minute to think and write a response and be ready to share with your team. Facilitators, pause the presentation for 5 minutes. Allow 1 minute for participants to think and write, and 4 minutes to share with their collaborative team. For our next session, we are asking you to bring a copy of your completed collaborative teacher team norms. In addition to sharing your completed set of norms, we will reflect and share how the development process went. Was it easy for your group to come to consensus, or did it take some time to find a middle ground? We thank you again for your time, participation, and dedication to your colleagues, students, and to your own professional practice. We look forward to working with you again in our next PLC PD session.